Hey, happy Friday. Thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Congratulations. You made it to the end of the work week, ready for the weekend now, but we do have a very active weekend. So of course, this is something that we want you to stay aware of. Those storm chances are not only for today, but also increasing that severe risk into the weekend. We have a storm chance today, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday. All hazards are possible with this: large hail, high wind, and a tornado risk possible this weekend. Let's take a look at what we saw yesterday. Now, these storm reports are left over from what we saw on Wednesday night, okay? That went into early Thursday morning. That's what you're seeing there. But as that line of storms that came through, producing a lot of wind through Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and portions of the Mississippi Valley, that line of storms is continuing to move to the east, and that's what we saw yesterday. Pretty quiet line of storms, not producing too many severe weather concerns, and actually really not holding together too well. I know that we had some questions yesterday about North Carolina. Were they going to see any storms at all? You know, we're not even going to see any rain out there. Really struggling to get some rain going in these areas. Maybe just some very light rain yesterday. All right, temperatures also cooling down a bit thanks to that line of storms, thanks to that cold front. The only areas that are above average for today are farther out along the east coast. We've got New York, Washington, even Atlanta, and then farther down to the south into far southern Texas. And I point out this area because this is where we're going to watch for storms today. You can see we've got a little boundary set up in this area. There's that line, that front that kicked off storms Wednesday night here in Oklahoma and in Kansas. And then of course there's those storms that are ongoing in places like North Carolina, the northern portions of Georgia and Mississippi. Now I say storms, I use that term a little loosely here. These are more like showers, nothing severe here, okay? Nothing severe down to the south and east either. We've got some showers and storms off the coast of Texas into the Gulf Coast here. And then we've got some showers coming off of our northwestern portion of the U.S., coming off of the Pacific here into Seattle, Portland, all across Washington and Oregon today. Other than that, pretty quiet across the southwest here. Temperatures, thankfully, are a little bit cooler than what we've seen over the last few days. We need that cool down out to the west where they've hit just day after day of record high earlier in October. Right now we're at 65 here in Oklahoma City, 66 down in Dallas. A pretty nice fall-like day across the southern plains. 64 in Chandler. We've got 170 degrees out in Dallas. I think that Dallas, your temperatures are going to directly be impacted by if you get any rain and if you have any cloud cover. If you've got some sunshine like McKinney, you're going into the 70s. If you get that rain, temperatures may be a bit cooler into the 50s and 60s. All right, let's talk about that rain. Showers and storms, the severe risk is going to be a big headline, not only today, but also through the weekend. Here's your forecasted instability. So this unstable air is what helps to drive those storms, what helps to fuel them and really make them severe, really strong, right? So forecasted instability, we're really focusing on portions of the eastern side of New Mexico and the western side of Texas here. That's for Friday, that's for today. But as you look ahead to Saturday, you start to see this shift to the east a little bit here, and we're starting to look at portions of southern, even into central Oklahoma for that severe risk on Saturday. And we'll talk about that. I've got your timeline for you here in just a minute. What about that hail risk? Well, we're starting to see those yellow colors really come back in to our forecasted hail model here. Those yellow colors signify some larger hailstones, okay? The higher likelihood to get some hail out in the southeastern side of New Mexico, western side of Texas, and very similar to that forecasted instability, this starts to inch to the east as we head into Saturday. So I do think that best chance to get larger hail will be farther down to the south into the central and western side of Texas. However, that'll change over the next few days. We'll talk about that risk into Sunday and Monday. But let's stick with today first. Okay, here we are on Friday. Today, smaller size hail. We're talking the size of a quarter, right around 1 inch to 1.25 inches. Your risk for this, pretty low. I think that it'll be isolated hailstones, not everyone getting hail today. But if we do see any of those storms pulse up very briefly, I think that we could see Amarillo, Lubbock, and El Paso for that hail risk today. We'll get some rain in here. Rain looks a little bit more likely up into Lubbock and Amarillo into the late night hours, however stronger farther down to the south. Your forecasted max hail size today, again, I'm keeping it on the smaller side. Quarter-sized hail will be most likely. Could we get up to ping pong ball sized hail? It's possible. However, it's going to be extremely isolated. One of the bigger risks that we're watching for here will be that wind forecast, that wind hazard. So I do have a better chance to see high wind anywhere from El Paso all the way up to Amarillo. I put that in the yellow highlighted moderate risk level for today. All right, moving on here, the tornado risk is very, very, very low for today, however, increasing for tomorrow. So I'm not going to talk about it today. It's extremely low, however, we will talk about it for tomorrow. Taking a look at your future radar and the timeline for that large hail, high wind, timing, I think about 6 p.m. into the overnight hours. This really kicks off the series of storms that we have going into the weekend. So again, better chances for rain in the Texas Panhandle, however, better chances for strong to severe storms farther down to the south where it may be a little bit more isolated down here. Not as much rain, however, stronger storms in this area. Hail sizes, less than the size of a ping pong ball, probably closer to the size of a quarter. However, that changes tomorrow, okay? We see better chances for some larger hailstones tomorrow in this area. Midland, we actually have a most significant risk level because I think if we see large hail, the best chances for that will be in the Midland area, which is why we have that hatched zone on there. Other places like Fort Stockton, even up to Lubbock, could see those hailstones up to the size of a ping pong ball, maybe a golf ball. But the farther north that we get into places like Fort Sill and Oklahoma City, I think those hail sizes will go a little bit smaller here, and we have a lower risk to get those larger hailstones. I'm talking if we get hail up here, we're probably looking at penny-sized hail, maybe even smaller, like the size of a Dippin' Dot. You know those hailstones that you can hear it hit your car, but you're like, that's not gonna make a dent. It just kind of sounds like Dippin' Dots hitting your car. Okay, so the risk level here, better chances for Lubbock, Midland, and as you go farther to the south, while the hail sizes could be larger down here, I do think that the storms will be very isolated. We're not going to get as much rain farther down to the south. Alrighty, moving on here to, I think your wind risk is next. Saturday's severe hail threat. Okay, so I did want to mention we have a tornado risk on Saturday. Now I think that the wind risk will be the most common risk that you see. You're also going to see some large hail. That tornado threat is low, but we're also adding something that we haven't talked about for this area in a while, that flooding risk. That flooding risk is going to increase, especially for Oklahoma, from Saturday to Sunday, even holding on for Monday as well. So that flooding risk in the central portion of the state, we'll talk about that in just a minute, is going to be something to watch out for this weekend. Let's talk about the wind risk. Now, while Oklahoma City was not included in the hail risk, we are including the city in the wind risk here. I think wind speeds are going to stay right around 70 miles an hour, anywhere from Fort Stockton all the way up to the central portion of Oklahoma. We're going to see the wind risk be a much widespread, a much larger risk. So while not everyone is getting those large hailstones, most people will be impacted by that strong wind. Oklahoma City through Fort Sill has a low risk for high wind gusts. Lubbock to Midland, a better chance there. And Fort Stockton, again, a very isolated chance to see those strong storms farther down to the south. Here's your radar. Here's your radar for Saturday. Maybe. There we go. Showers and storms will continue from tonight into tomorrow morning. So by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, your radar is going to be busy. Anywhere from Amarillo down to Lubbock, more isolated the farther south that you go. Storms will slowly start to move into Oklahoma, coming from the west as we head into the early morning to mid-afternoon hours. Again, that risk here is looking like larger hail for tomorrow than from today. Wind 75 miles an hour, so a little bit higher than what we see today for tomorrow. Again, that tornado risk is low. I'll talk about that here in just a minute. The timing here, I have the word ongoing. Let me explain that for a minute. Ongoing, that doesn't mean that we're talking about the severe risk only in the afternoon or only in the morning. We're talking as you wake up tomorrow morning, your radar is going to be very busy already. As you go throughout the afternoon hours, your radar is still pretty busy. However, if I were to pinpoint a time for the best chances for severe storms, I would say afternoon to evening hours. Now, something that we also have going on Saturday, you guys know where I'm going with this, the OU game, OU versus Maine. That game starts at 1:30. The tailgate, I know I have 11:30 up here. Tailgate starts a little bit earlier at 11. Come hang out with us. We're at tent 112. It's Hail, Trace, and Beacon, the tailgating tent. We want you to come by, watch the game with us. You can watch the OU game. We'll have other games on throughout the day as well. Tent 112 across from Gate 12 on Jenkins Avenue. So come by. Here's your forecast for the game. I've zoomed into the map here so that you can see exactly when we're getting rain down in Norman. Because I know a lot of people, that has been the big topic of conversation today. A lot of people have texted me saying, what's the weather going to be like down in Norman? Y'all, I've got to go buy a rain jacket because I don't even have a red rain jacket for the game. So if you're like me, grab a rain jacket today for tomorrow. All right, let's talk about it here. We've got showers and storms going on in the morning. It's going to be spotty, not everyone getting rain in the morning. The better chances for those strong to severe storms are farther back to the west. But as you wake up tomorrow morning, you may see rain on the ground. It's going to be on and off rain throughout the entire day tomorrow. But the better chances for severe weather will be farther off to the west. The game starts at 1:30. Let me restart this here for you. Ready? Here we are. You're getting lunch. You're finding your seat at the game. You're sitting down for the game. It's halftime. And look where those storms are, farther out to the west. So hopefully we can get at least through halftime before we see anything strong to severe. However, after halftime, I do think that those storms will start to approach. So could we finish the game and then you see those storms on your way back home? Possibly. Is this going to be during the game that we see those storms? It's going to be a very, very short timeline to see those storms either during the game or on your way back home. Hopefully these storms slow down a bit so you can get home before those storms come in. We'll have to see tomorrow. We're still about 24 hours out from these storms coming in. It's a very, very short window between halftime to the end of the game for those storms to come in. So we'll have to see tomorrow. I think either way, it's going to rain. You're going to want your rain jacket. All right, let's take a look at that football forecast. Temperatures aren't bad tomorrow. It feels like fall, 67 at kickoff, 68 at halftime. I have an 80% chance for rain during the game. So honestly, that's a personal foul for the weather. It finally cools down and we've got the rain coming in. It's a bummer, but it's a low chance for severe weather, mainly after halftime, probably on your drive back home. And looking ahead here, you know, we talked about Friday's risk for storms. We talked about Saturday's risk as well. Let's talk about Sunday and Monday. All right, Sunday's risk for storms extends not only from Texas, but all the way up into Kansas and even portions of southern Nebraska as well. Still including Oklahoma City with this, it's a level 2 risk for storms. We also have a level 2 on Monday. That continues to track to the east. It's still a little far out to give you more details on Monday's risk, but we'll be keeping you updated on social media as we go throughout the weekend. Temperatures in the upper 60s and low 70s today. A little bit cooler the farther north that you get. Below freezing in Bismarck tomorrow morning. 41 in Minneapolis as you wake up and start your weekend. We've got the temperatures in the 60s through the overnight hours here in Oklahoma City. And of course, a little bit warmer the farther south and east that you go. Tomorrow afternoon, as I mentioned, it feels like fall here in Oklahoma City. Kansas City and Denver are all in the 60s. Alrighty, moving on here for Sunday. Sunday, 60s, 9 o'clock in the morning, 70s down in Dallas. It looks like those temperatures are slowly starting to warm back up the farther south that you are. So we've got the upper 70s and maybe even some 80s on Sunday in Dallas. Farther out to the west, look at this, another big cool down coming in. So that's going to, of course, impact those storms as we go into Sunday and Monday. So enjoy the 60s while they last, because I do think that we're going to see these temperatures go up and down over the next few days, over the next week. Because look at this. Early into November, we're about a week and a half into November at this point. Temperatures are above average for the northern plains, above average out to the east as well. Still right about average for portions of Oklahoma, and then even below average farther into the Four Corners. What about that rain chance? Rain chances into the middle of November, very beginning of November here. Above average for just to the west of Oklahoma, but below average for a good portion of our northern communities. So it looks like we're going to stay very dry farther up to the north. Alrighty, in your tropics, I know we always do a tropical update at this time, but your tropics are looking very quiet right now. We have 3 areas that we've been watching for, but less than a 20% chance for tropical development over the next 7 days, or over the next 2 days, so I'm not too concerned with tropical development. Hey, follow us for more weather updates as we head into the weekend. We, of course, will be watching it for you. We have a meteorologist here on staff at Hail Trace 24/7, but we are always watching social media for your pictures, your hail pictures, your wind pictures, and of course your tornado pictures as well. And we'll pass that information on to you whenever we get it. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, or give us a call for a wind, hail, or tornado map at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com, or if you're a weather enthusiast like we are, you're going to love our website. Head over to our website, look at the blog section. We have a lot of interesting things about the weather events on our blog section. That is at hailtrace.com. All right, thanks for joining us today on this Friday. Happy Friday, y'all. We'll be back here same time, same place for your forecast tomorrow.